Farming Life in Another World Volume 1, Chapter 1, Desire to be Transferred in a Different World. My name is Michio Hiroku. After graduating from college, I began overworking my body in a black company in my 20s and lived in the hospital in my 30s. Male age at the time of death, 39 years old. And now, I'm meeting God. Reincarnate to a different world? No, it's transition. Transition? I thought that I died. That's right. Therefore, I'm going to revive you in another world. My body is. I'll be getting rid of your illness and regenerate your rotten organs. Otherwise, you'll die soon. I'll also make you younger after that. Thank you. No need to thank me. I will benefit from sending you to another world. So to speak, you will be resurrected in another world for me. Indeed. So, do I have to do something there? No, just live there. Gently enjoy your second life. Is that so? Do you have any complaints? No. How obedient. But, are you really fine with it? Yes. I have lived on the hospital bed for nearly 10 years. There is nothing to complain about being younger and having a healthy body. Is that so? That is. I have no excuse for pressing you on my own convenience, so I will grant your wish. My wish? For instance, I can give you special skills or a fate with only good encounter. Then, please give me a body that does not get sick. A body that doesn't get sick? Yes, I suffered from my illness. If possible, I do not want to experience that kind of thing again. I understand. Then, a body that does not get sick. I'll give you healthy body. Thank you. I'll ask you for another one. But just say it. Then, can you do something that would make me live in a place with not so many people if possible? A place without people? Yes. When my parents died, there are various people who introduce themselves as relatives. Also, even in the company I entered. Therefore, I distrust human a little. Well, it's kind of different. Perhaps, I think that communication with people is not so good. I think that I must go over it immediately, but, therefore, a place without other people? I understand. I'll consider the place I'll transfer you to. I don't mind if there is another one. Just say it. Let's see. Oh, that's right. Please make sure that I'll be able to speak the language of the world I'm going to. The vicinity is safe. You'll be able to speak with basic human beings. It's a kind of beginner's pack. Yeah. Come on. Tell me your wish quickly. Even if you say that. I've been on a hospital bed for a long time, so I'm already happy to be able to move. The thing I wish for the most has come true. Then, that's it. Is there something you want to do? The destination is a world of swords and magic, which is common in games you know. Do you want to become the world's best adventurer? Do you want to become a magi with the rarest ability? Or do you want to be a king somewhere? No, those are all too heavy for me. I got it. There is something that I wanted to do if my body can move. That is. Really? Say it. Farming. When I was a child, I always remembered having a hoe on an on-site training. I am interested for some reason. That's why I want to do farming. Is that so? Farming. Is it useless? It's not useless. Although it's not useless, your wish is outside my jurisdiction. Wait a minute. Yes. When I was waiting, the god in front of me took out something like an old cell phone and started to speak with someone. I can hear the words, but I completely don't know the meaning. Is the language different? It seems that the one he's talking to is very excited. I kept you waiting. Let me give you this. That said, he passed a hoe. The handle part is wood, only the blade part is made of iron. All-purpose farming tool. TN, Bano. It means all-purpose, but it can also mean omnipotent. Omnipotent? I think this hoe is surely excellent, but an omnipotent farming tool is overkill. It looks like a hoe, but if its master imagines it, it can transform according to the application. Transform? For example, think that it will be a sickle. It is likely to be a sickle. You can also use it as a saw, hammer, crowbar, and shovel. Furthermore, that is for your exclusive use. It will always be by your side. Even if you throw it, it will come back. Highly efficient. By the way, you can store it in your body so you don't have to worry about the storage location. You can put it in and out as you wish. Try it. As I was told, I put the all-purpose farming tool in my body, and try to get it out. Awesome. Take good care of it. Yes, I'll take care of it. Now it's time to move on. Are you ready? It's okay. Thank you for everything. Amu. Then stay healthy. While I was listening to those words, I felt like my body is melting. And when I noticed, I was in the forest. Body check. My body. It moves freely. There is no pain. It is a healthy body. Although there is no mirror, I know that I became younger from my hands and feet. Early 20s? No, late teens? Anyway, there is no problem. Clothes. I am wearing clothes I'm not familiar with. It looks like a villager that appears in fantasy games with my rough coat and pants. Underwear is a trunk bound by a string. Anyway, it was nice not to be dead. I wonder if this is one of the beginner's pack that God said. Next, I put out the all-purpose farming tool. A hoe appears in the grasp of my hand. Thank you, God. Speaking of which, I have not heard of God's name. I don't know who to pray to. Well, the feeling of gratitude is what's important. Now, I stand up and look around. It's a forest. Even if I look at the front or back, all I see is a forest. Even if I look at the left or right, all I see is a forest. I'm hoping to be transferred to a place with few people. But this place has no people at all. Chapter 2. Different World. What should I do? Although I became healthy, in this situation, I'll die. First, water, then food, place to sleep after that. It's the basic of survival. First of all, I'll move to seek water. I want to move but the trees are in the way. No, I can move but I can't see far because there are too many trees. In addition, the trees are thick. Their trunk diameters exceeds 1 meter, and I feel that it's the same everywhere. The place where I am now is open for some reason but it is still not enough to see a far place. I'll probably get lost if I move. Well, I just can't come back here even if I'm lost. Being troubled can't be helped. Anyway, water. If I don't look for water, I'll die. As for now, I'll try to believe in my ears. Is there a sound of flowing water somewhere? It is useless. I can hear only the sound of eerie wind and cry of a beast which seems to be dangerous. Moreover, the cry of the beast felt like a scream. That means there are beasts attacking that beast. Deep breath. For the time being, I need to move one step forward. I felt an awful sense of incongruity. It is the feeling of taking a step on the ground. The open ground earlier is not like the normal ground I know. How can the trees grow in this stiff ground? Not really stiff but hard. Too hard. The ground is so hard that it seems to be a piece of rock. To think that great thick trees and tall grasses can grow roots in such a place. The vitality of plants are impressive. However, this hard ground is bad. I don't know much about my now younger body but my feet will hurt if I walk all the way on this hard ground. The surprising hardness of this ground is unexpected. And one more thing. Can I farm in this hard land? Maybe this forest has the only hard one and other places are alright. I set up my all-purpose farming tool in the form of a hoe and tried it down. Success. The blade of the hoe surprisingly entered deep into the ground without problem. Pull out and repeat. Sakasaku SFX TN. Sakasaku is a sound effect for something crispy. The ground is easily plowed. Ooh, this is fun. Sakasaku. I thought that it was dangerous. A thick tree root was lying on the way and I have swung down to it. I was prepared for the shock to come in my arms but it did not come. On the contrary, the response was still crispy. Looking at it, the root was plowed. The part that comes in contact with the hoe became sawdust. No, not sawdust, but soil? Looking at it, I feel like it would be a good fertilizer. Let's see. I kept swinging the hoe as it is. The root of the thick tree completely assimilated into the ground. The only thing that remained was the ground that was plowed. Ooh. And surprisingly, I'm not even tired. Perhaps I won't get tired while using this all-purpose farming tool. As expected, the tool God gave. Something flashed on my mind. If I move while plowing, will I get tired? It tried doing it. I was right. Thank you, God. Since there are neither food nor water at the transition place, I thought that I was terribly neglected but it was thought of properly. I continued plowing while thanking him again. Anyway, I have to find a place where I can secure some drinking water. Because I'm plowing while advancing, my movement speed is slow. Moreover, I thought about the width that I should plow. The place where I plowed will be flattened, so I thought that the width should be around 5 meters for visibility. Besides, I can plow without minding trees. I mean tree roots. Therefore, I advanced around 50 meters in an hour. Isn't that dangerous? I don't know what time it is now, but what should I do when the sun goes down? It's good that I'm not tired, but shouldn't I be worried about my vision? No, vision is important because a beast may come out of the forest. Moo. God help me. Suddenly relying on others is useless. I looked at the all-purpose farming tool in my hand. It is in the form of a hoe. It has an effect of turning the place it plowed to soil. Speaking of which, it is said that it has other forms. For instance, saw. My all-purpose farming tool became a saw, so I tried it to a nearby tree. No, saw is not the one that should be used to cut trees. I transformed it into an axe and swing it to a nearby tree. I cut the tree like tofu. Moreover, unlike with the hoe, the tree remains a tree. I thought so while looking at the falling tree. What I should do is not to look for water but to utilize this all-purpose farming tool. For instance, I transformed the all-purpose farming tool into a drill and pressed it against the 10-meter wide trunk of a gigantic tree. The drill punctures the trunk of the gigantic tree. Within 5 minutes, I created a 4 meters square, 2 meters high space inside, which is 1 meter from the entrance. Can't imagine? Here is an image from the manga. Because the inside was rind, I transformed the all-purpose farming tool into a file. Rubbing the file once is enough to level and smoothen it. I threw away the small pieces of woods outside while thinking that it looks like a huge squirrel nest. With this, I secured a place to sleep. Next, water. I turned the all-purpose farming tool to a shovel and dug the ground. Rather than searching for a river, I dig a well. If you think about it, finding a river would be better because digging a well needs an overwhelming labor, but in my case, I have the all-purpose farming tool. I can dig it fast, digging straight down. After digging about 5 meters, it became impossible to take out the dug soil. After that, I wondered how I would get out of the hole. I need to dig diagonally to get out. No, wait. A vertical hole. What about oxygen? Dangerous. I could die. I panicked and dug up a hole diagonally to escape. Reflecting. Next, I dug while thinking about air passage. Basic, slanted digging. I dig air holes from time to time to secure oxygen. The most important thing is that there should be airflow. This is different from what I imagined of a well, but there will be no problem if I keep digging like this to the bottom. The water came out in the estimated depth of about 10 meters. All right on target. Moreover, because the ground is hard, the water flows from the side of the hole like a spring water and begins to accumulate at the bottom of the hole. Can I drink it? There is no choice but to drink it. For the time being, I won't drink it immediately and leave it for a while. Because I'm using the all-purpose farming tool, I'm not thirsty yet, even if it's a truly hard ground. The water is dirty because I just dug it. With this, I have a place to sleep and, although uncertain, have a water source. Now, it's food. Should I aim from the source of the beast voice I heard from the forest? Impossible. I've never hunted. In addition, the sun begins to set. What? I forgot the fire. How do I make fire? Rubbing woods. For an amateur like me, it won't go well. All-purpose farming tool. Lamp light, electric light. It's useless. It doesn't change. The all-purpose farming tool, like what its name indicates, only transforms into farming tools. Well, it is questionable to call a file and a drill farming tools. However, it transformed to it. It also became scissors and spoon. However, I imagined a chainsaw to cut trees, but it was useless. Motors and electric grass cutters etc. were no good too. Machine-related things are no good. With this, I assume that those having a few parts are okay. So, a tool that creates fire. Magnifying glass. Success. I can make fire with this before it gets dark. I gave up and crawled to the tree hole I made as a sleeping quarters and decided to transform the all-purpose farming tool into a knife to make accessories until the day rose. For now, glass, plate, and tray, and knife, fork, and chopsticks. I used the tree I cut down with the axe earlier as the material. While I was using the all-purpose farming tool, I did not feel thirsty, I did not feel hungry, and I did not feel sleepy either. However, since there is no fire, I made those under the moonlight. This is truly a different world. There are two moons. Chapter 3 All-Purpose Farming Tool. The all-purpose farming tool is a tool that can transform, and I can freely put it in and out. While using it, my throat doesn't get thirsty, my belly doesn't feel hungry, and I don't feel sleepy at all. However, is there a limit in using it? For example, if I transform the all-purpose farming tool into a hoe then swing it on the ground, what will happen if I don't pull it out? In other words, it can be said that I should continuously swing the hoe. This is the same with most tools. But, for example, I hit a post with a hammer. While I'm striking the post, it can be said that I'm using it, but if I move from that post to another, I'm not using it. When I'm making small items with the all-purpose farming tool knife form, it is exerting its effect while I'm working with it, but it doesn't exert its effect after I finished it and move to the next article. Even if those are just a moment, it will be a considerable amount since it stacks up. In other words, right now, I'm thirsty, hungry, and sleepy. After bathing in the morning sun, I went to the diagonal hole well I had dug yesterday. I took out the wood cup I made with the knife when I stand vigil until the morning. Because the depth was about 1 meter, I draw water from the clean upper stratum as much as possible. I can drink it. I should be able to drink it. I have no choice but to drink here because I am thirsty. A man should be courageous. I tilted the cup a little and try putting some in my mouth. I am surprised that it doesn't taste strange. I think that it is an ordinary water. I want to think it is. Because I'm thirsty, I resolved myself and drink it. Delicious. Later, if I won't have a stomachache, then there is no problem. I have no choice but to wait for the passage of time. Next is food. Before that, I need to confirm the current situation. I made a place to sleep on the trunk of a large tree. The surrounding soil has become soft because I plowed it with the hoe. I dug a diagonal well in a place slightly away from my place to sleep. And there is the 5-meter wide road I plowed from the place I was transported to. I didn't mean to do that, but the road is visible. The distance might be about 100 meters. On my hand are the all-purpose farming tool and the small items I created when I didn't sleep. The small items I made are cups and plates that were created by shaving wood. Because I made it overnight, a moderate amount was made. For now, I need to move around while swinging the hoe and look for something to eat. A nut tree is ideal. I would be happy if I'll find apples or grapes. Then, I immediately thought, I should lit a fire first. I will not repeat yesterday's failure. I collect the wood chips which came from the time I was making the small room in the tree to sleep on. I transformed the all-purpose farming tool into a magnifying glass to ignite it. Then, stabilize the fire by adding dry woods. It took more time than I expected, but I managed to secure the fire. I was able to do it, but I'm scared to leave. I'll be in trouble if it caused a wildfire. Because of that, food search is done in the range where I can see the fire. In other words, I will plow the surroundings to expand my place. I worked hard. I continued using the hoe to expand the place with the tree I'll sleep on as the center. I worked too hard. I expanded my space around 200 meters from the tree I made a place to sleep in. After all, using hoe is fun. On the way, I thought that I would have wood problems if I turn all the trees to fertilizer, so I cut down the trees using all-purpose farming tool axe form. I discovered at that time something like a crowbar to hook the trees. It seems that I can transform the all-purpose farming tool with just image even without knowing the name. It was possible for me to move the trees with the crowbar without feeling the weight of the tree. The all-purpose farming tool is convenient. In the back of the tree where I'll sleep in is a large tree of about 1 to 2 meters diameter. With that, I won't be troubled with woods. Thanks to that, my searching for food completely went off my head. Good luck or bad luck? Something happened. When I was plowing the surroundings, an animal appeared to the place where I shook the hoe. The animal looked like a rabbit. However, the size is about the size of a medium-sized dog. Its eyes are showing hostility, and although a rabbit, it has two long fangs on the edge of its mouth like a saber-toothed tiger. Isn't this a rodent? In any case, I was not able to stop the hoe from hitting the rabbit when I swung it down. It was done in with a single blow. The hoe hit the neck of the rabbit that is bending forward. Then a crispy sound. The part from the neck to the top became fertilizer, but the body remained. I was shocked from robbing the life of a living thing, but my belly is honest. I got the food I wanted. Pray, let's eat. I transformed the all-purpose farming tool to a knife and dismantle it. Even if I say dismantle, I don't know how to dismantle it. I cut the fur. However, I panicked when I noticed the internal organs in the middle of it. I don't think that it's good to throw the internal organs. Apart from the heart and liver, the things that the rabbit ate are in its stomach and intestines. Thinking about how it shows hostility to me and thinking about its fangs, it doesn't seem to be the type to eat grass. There is no way it eats grass. Yeah, the intestines are not long as I thought, so it's carnivorous. I worked hard removing it while avoiding damaging it and throws it away. After that, I took off the fur. I was able to turn the all-purpose farming tool into a frying pan, but I gave up using it since I don't want to put it over the fire. After cutting the meat to small bite-size cut, I skewer them into a wooden stick and hangs it to the fire. I'll barbecue it this time. After this, I'll process a stone and make it into a stone plate. I can afford to do that because I was able to secure food. I thought about it in various ways. Because I'm currently eating the burnt meat, not good, but it can only be said as natural because I grilled the meat with fire. There is no seasoning, but this is at least edible. I only tasted hospital food for a long time because I was hospitalized for nearly 10 years. The last one was an intravenous feeding. Thinking about it, this is a meat dish I cooked myself. I became teary. There is no reason not to eat this. No matter how much I revise it, the result is a burnt bloody meat. I can't deceive myself. I must do something about the food. Renewing my desire, I ate it for the time being. Still, there's only a little food remains. To make it not rot, I need a cold place. I can only think of a well, but I would like to use something as clean as possible. Since there is no other method, I decided to grill them all to preserve it. It seems that the meat will become hard you grill them, but it is better than leaving them raw. After that, I plow the internal organs and the fur with the hoe form of the all-purpose farming tool to turn them into fertilizer. My stomach is still not painful, so I judge the water of the well to be safe. For the time being, my belly has swollen. Chapter 4. Toilet. When people eat something, that something needs to go out. I wonder if I should do it around here. I plowed around my tree crib, so I'm troubled because my prospects are good, and I think that doing it in a place I plowed will feel different, but doing it in a place where I didn't plow is troublesome if I consider plowing there in the future. Feces and urine will eventually become fertilizer, but the thing right after secretion is not yet a fertilizer. It must be fermented first. No, if I plow it with the hoe form of the all-purpose farming tool, it will definitely become a fertilizer, but I'm somewhat reluctant to plow my excrement. So, I have a place to sleep, water, fire, and food. The next thing I want to obtain is a toilet. For now, with my tree crib on the center, I choose the opposite direction from where the well is. It is a little far away because it will be troublesome if the smell comes out. Think about the future. I dig the ground diagonally for about 2 meters. I learned that I can't get out if I dug straight. I dug out the inner part wider to secure space. This will be fine for several years. Probably, it will be troublesome if the stored filth contaminate the groundwater, so they hit the floor and the wall with a hammer to harden it. As I thought, the soil solidified like concrete. This will be fine. Next, the above ground part. First, I block the hole which I dug diagonally with a wooden board. The wooden board is a thing processed by the saw and chisel form of the all-purpose farming tool. I don't feel the difference with the things sold in a hardware store. The wood will crack later if it won't be dried, but it seems that there is no need to dry the wood after using the saw and chisel form of the all-purpose farming tool. The all-purpose farming tool is convenient. This passage will be the doorway to retrieve the filth from the toilet. Next, I dug a hole straight to the estimated middle of the space I made underground. I transformed the all-purpose farming tool like a huge corkscrew. Because the length was around my height, I was worried whether it would reach the underground space, but as I turned the huge corkscrew, it safely reached the underground. Shouldn't I have done this when I dug a well? At any rate, I arranged a wood board to block the hole and to act as a floor. Then, I made a hole on that floor. I made a toilet seat and adjusted it to the hole on the floor and on the ground. The toilet seat was made by cutting a good-sized tree and making it into a cylindrical shape. It is not a Japanese style but a Western style. It is a small sit-down type. In order for the toilet seat not to slip, I processed the wooden floor and the seat to lock them together. Next, wall. I transformed the all-purpose farming tool to a hammer and hammered pillars surrounding it in all directions. I felt the lack of my height when hammering the pillar, but since I made a wooden foothold, there is no problem. The height of the pillars is about 2 meters. Since the distance between pillars is about 2 meters, I think that I have made a space of a 2-meter square. Isn't this too wide for a toilet? No. It is better than being narrow. Full open is embarrassing, so I guess it's a little wide. TN, full open is written in English. Yes. I carved a groove into the wooden pillars and processed wooden board to make wall by putting them on the grooves. I made a wall on all sides and secured a doorway by removing a part of the wall. I did not prepare a door, so I arranged some woods side by side like a blind in a not far away place. Yeah, that seems sufficient. And the ceiling? There is no ceiling. I have a feeling of openness. Let's make that later. For the time being, I drew water from the well using a large cup which is smaller than a bucket. I sit on the freshly made toilet. I was able to fetch water for hand washing, but where should I let it flow after using? I made a blunder. I did not prepare leaves as toilet paper substitute. It was dangerous. I ran into the forest and looked for leaves that feel good that I can use to wipe my butt. I did not find any good leaves, but I found a grass that feels good, so I decide to use it. I hope that this is good enough. My defecate was close to the extent that I could not afford to experiment. Good enough. What a relief. After that is the creation of the ceiling. Because I don't have the technology to make a slanted roof, I put a normal flat one. A height of 2 meters is unexpectedly cramped. Thinking about it, making a 2-meter sliding door is a little too high. Next time I build a building, I'll consider the height a little more. It was so dark and troubling when I built the ceiling, so I made countless of small windows on top of the walls for lighting. For lighting at night, I processed the wood in form of a brazier and laid ash on the part of the hole. Since the brazier is made of wood, I'm worried whether it will burn. I'll make some improvement later. I want to prepare a tank-like thing for hand washing and toilet flushing. I don't have the technology to create a water tank as a water reservoir, so I cut a large tree. Thanks to the all-purpose farming tool, I was more tired going back and forth to draw water to the tank-like thing than when I was making it. Not being in a civilization is hard. In any case, the toilet was completed. I'm satisfied. Chapter 5: Food Security. After completing the toilet, I went back to bed and slept. I don't think that it is a good idea to sleep in daytime, but I'm really sleepy. I think I fell asleep for about 3 hours, but the sun has not set yet. Present condition assessment. Bed, water, fire, toilet, and food is fine for today. However, if you think about tomorrow, food is a problem. Right now, I only have the rabbit-like creature meat that I luckily obtained. If I continuously use the all-purpose farming tool, I won't get hungry. That will extend my food supply for about 5 days. I would like to search for new food till then. However, I should think about the night before that. It is natural for someone to sleep at night, but the forest is scary. The rabbit with massive fangs is hostile. If the rabbit is already like that, what more if it's a bear? Isn't this dangerous? I have fire, but I never heard about wild animals being afraid of fire. Regardless of what will come, I need to prepare. For the time being, I need a door to block the entrance of the shelter that I made from a trunk of a tree. I cut a tree with an appropriate size with the all-purpose farming tool and create something like a door with a knob. This is somewhat heavy. Won't I have trouble using this? When I closed the door, the inside was pitch black. It was troubling in various ways. If I use fire here, I will die of oxygen deficiency. Let's challenge this in the future. Next, the fence. I'll build a fence that surrounds my shelter, the well, and the toilet. I cut down straight trees and removed their branches with the help of the all-purpose farming tool. Even if I say fence, since there are no nails, it's just some sort of enclosure. I surrounded the place with logs. I won't be able to move these trees if there is no all-purpose farming tool. Even if the height is only about 1 meter, it will at least be a hindrance for the beasts. Because I insisted surrounding my domain with a fence, I had a good feeling when I was able to enclose a wide area. I think it is around 100 by 100 meters. Did I overdo it? Anyway, because the log fence was completed, I decided to sleep because it was already dark. I closed the door. It's pitch black. It is impossible to do any work, so I guess it's good. Air holes. Dangerous, dangerous. Because it's dark, I panicked a little when I can't find where the door is. I managed to open the door, put some air holes in the door, and then go to bed. Phew.